Americas. Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. Thank you for joining us for this live video web chat. Joining me and us today, Emmy nominated for her turn on Mad Men this season, Linda Cardellini. Linda, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How do you like that that description out, the Emmy nominated Linda Cardellini?
It makes my heart skip a little beat. It makes me so happy, and hearing those words out of your mouth just now, it feels good. I can't lie. It makes me pretty happy.
And I mean, what a kind of an interesting journey, because you're cast on Mad Men, and really, from what I understand, the only thing you knew initially about the character is that she was Italian American and she was married to a doctor.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry. I heard initially an Italian and doctor.
I was saying
I can get a gist of what that is, but
well, I was saying that it was interesting journey to be nominated now for this role, when going into it, really you only knew a few things about the character, Italian American and married to a doctor.
Yes. No, I absolutely. That it's amazing. First of all, the character I got to play was so fantastic, and not knowing what I would do going in and having it turn out to be such a great role is rewarding in and of itself. And then to have to be nominated for it is just incredible. I could have never expected it or imagined it when I went into audition for Matt Weiner, who made me do the scene maybe 20 to 40 different ways.
Which scene did you audition with?
It wasn't an actual scene from this. It was similar to, but not exactly the scene that I had. One of the scenes I had with John early on, but it wasn't exactly that scene. But it was later, when I saw the script, I realized there was sort of similarities between that and the dinner scene that we had.
Did you know at the audition that your character would be having an affair with Don?
No, I didn't know if she would be. I didn't know if it would be something where she works in the office or something where I had no idea.
So when did you learn that?
I learned that probably a few days after I got the part and got the first script. And in the very first script, which is the first half of the 2-hour premiere, I actually don't have any lines.
Right.
And I remember coming to the read-through. They invited me to the read-through, and I got a phone call from Matt saying, "I'm inviting you to the read-through, but you have no lines. But don't worry, there's something really great coming." And so that was sort of how I went into the whole thing. It just sort of surrendered and just completely trusted in the idea that something great would happen for the role.
Now, so the season premiere was a 2-hour episode divided into 2 parts, and so no lines in the first hour, but in the second hour you have, some substantial lines, and the scene with John revealing. I mean, I guess I'm wondering what you didn't know that your character what she would be doing, and what was your reaction as you get to that scene in bed with Don Draper?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic, especially because she doesn't mean much, you don't think, in the entire scope of the first episode until that very last scene. And I thought it was a wonderful surprise, which Matt and everybody there at Mad Men, they really love the element of surprise. And to me, that was fantastic. I thought is such an incredible payoff to, in the first hour of the show, I get to make the sign of the cross, and that was no lines, but I had to make the sign of the cross, and so to have that be the end of the second hour or the second episode was rewarding, and I thought, wow, this is going to be an interesting ride.
Yeah. Well, there was such a secrecy about your appearance on the show. I think the common experience for most people watching that season premiere was, the first time you came on screen, people were kind of looking like, wait a minute, is that Linda Cardellini? She looks a little different. And then, the episode's going on and it's like, whoa, Linda Cardellini. She got a great part here on Mad Men.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a very different role for me too. So I was excited about that, especially I'd taken time off and had a baby,
Mhm.
and it was the first thing that I was going to do in front of camera in a long time, and to have it be something that was so different and so rewarding was it felt very good.
And there was, because you're wearing a wig, right, in the show.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's the wig.
Originally that I was going to have to cut my hair, and I thought, oh, that's great. I've had this hairdo since Freaks and Geeks probably, but then we tried on a wig, and it was just beautiful and perfect, and the hair and makeup team there is amazing. So we came up with Sylvia that way.
Did you even have people that you knew watching the show that took them a moment to recognize you?
Yes. In fact, I know someone that took her 2 episodes. So, uh, which to me, I think that's the wonderful thing about acting. I love to hide in different characters and different people, and that to me is a big compliment. So I was happy about
And when you're talking about hiding, literally Matt Weiner, the creator and director, producer of Mad Men, had you hiding while you were shooting this season, right?
that. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, he did. And And for good, at first it seems crazy, and then you realize it really works. I think, being a fan myself, I actually didn't want to know what happened in the end of the series. So I'm not in the last 2 episodes, and so I asked, Matt had asked me to be involved, and to come to the read-throughs and see everybody and hang out. And I politely declined because I love the element of surprise that the show has. So I didn't know what would happen at the end of the season, and watched the last 2 episodes as a fan, which was really fun, and kind of unusual. But yeah, I had to hide, and they had vans with windows blacked out, and I wore a hat to set and a robe over my costumes, and I really didn't tell anybody. So it was a surprise to the people who were close to me, as well as to fans, and also the people who don't know me. So.
Yeah, I read that the vans with the windows masked. That to me just
Mhm.
like kind of an extreme measure, but I guess that's how Matt rolls, huh?
Well, the thing that is interesting about it is that people really want to know so badly that there are people outside taking pictures of paparazzi there. It wasn't just it wasn't just for no reason. There were actual people who were trying to find things out about the show. So it really speaks to how much people love the show, and how much the people who create and work on the show really want to keep the surprises for their fans, and really want it to pay off for their fans, which I think it's amazing. I don't think it's just an investment within themselves. I think it's a thing for fans as well.
Well, being on the inside this season, what was your experience kind of watching Mad Men obsesses as they were going through the episodes and all the crazy theories that kind of came out?
It's fantastic. It's so interesting because the show is based in a reality, in and of itself, and there are so many far-fetched and out there theories that you would think it was something supernatural, or like a Lost, but people have such incredible theories about what's happening and who everybody is, and every step of the way, I kept the secret. So people would ask me things about who my character was and what she meant, and if she was from his past, and was she really the hooker from the first. There were all these questions that people would ask me that I couldn't answer, but it was hilarious and wonderful to see how interested, invested, and creative people can be with their theories.
And you're only on the kind of the home side of Don Draper's life, your character, Sylvia. Meanwhile, at work, there were all the things going on. that you probably, as even someone on the show, really didn't know, well, who is this Bob Benson, right?
Yes, I also did not know who Bob Benson was, which he did such a fantastic job because he's so gracious and 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 sweet in some ways, and still you don't trust him at all from the beginning. Um, and they did such a great job with saying Bob Benson so many times that the question just rang in your head, who is Bob Benson? And as a fan, I was excited to find out, well, I was hoping I would find out who Bob Benson was by the last episode of the season. And you get some answers there, which was fun. But you know, it's I think it's great how they keep you interested, and how, you know, to me, what I learned as well being on the show and being a fan of the show is that what I'm necessarily doing in a scene can mean something to the scene itself at the moment, but it could also mean something to the larger, greater, you know, scheme of things that and what's happening throughout the season and the series.
Right. To that point, I think, Sylvia was kind of a catalyst for the journey that Don took during the season to finally kind of, be honest with himself, right? That was kind
Mm.
of part of the larger puzzle for that character.
Yeah, which is fantastic to be the person where, you know, Don finally gets caught with his pants down, literally. And unfortunately, it has to be his daughter, but the idea that will change him in some ways is it's fun to play that character.
Did you, as the season was being shown on AMC, did you sit down on Sundays and watch the episodes with friends, family? How did you experience the
Hmm.
episodes?
Whenever I could, whenever I could. So I have a 1.5-year-old baby, so,
That's
so sometimes I wasn't able to watch it as it aired. But then I would rush to the TV as soon as she went to sleep. Um, but yeah, it was really fun because the people that I know well, I didn't tell them the things that would happen, and they didn't really want to know because it was fun to be surprised, and to watch them and to see what happens. It's fun. It really is. I don't know what more to say than it's been pretty fun.
we have some questions from people watching. I'm gonna toss a couple of these your way. I do have to ask. That's the first question here in the queue from all those things I love. Is it true, as Tina Fey has said, that John Hamm smells of frosting? I don't know. I've never heard that quote, but
I've never heard that either. You know, he definitely doesn't smell bad, but I don't know that it's frosting. Next time I see him, I'll have to take a whiff.
maybe on that case with Tina, it was like a cupcake at the in the green room or whatever, craft services, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think this is a question. Jimmy Sullivan, he's from France, and
Oh,
I'm sure you got to answer
bonjour.
that quite a bit. How does it work? How was it to work with John? How good is he? Also, will we see you on the next season?
Well, hi, Jimmy. I think John's fantastic. I think Don Draper is such an iconic character, and I don't know anybody you could ever imagine anybody else in that role. He's fantastic. He's a great guy. He's funny, and I'm very lucky to have so many scenes with him and to be part of that character's story. Um, I The next season is just about as big of a mystery as all of the seasons and all of the storylines. So there's not much that I can say about that. But thank you for the question.
Right. I remember talking, I guess it was a couple years ago, to Jessica Perret, and she and Don had been engaged. He had asked her, Megan to marry him. But in the off season after that episode, she had no idea if she would be coming back to Mad Men. For all she knew, the next season would open and Don would be standing over Megan's grave saying, well,
Right, right, right.
you know.
Yeah, the way I don't know, and if I come back, I think that would be interesting, and if I don't, I think it's just been such an incredible way to end an arc on a show by the way that we ended the last episode that I was in, that she really goes out goes out with a bang. So I'm interested to see what they come up with, and we'll see what happens.
What did you think about the reaction to the scene with Sylvia and Don and Sally? I mean, it was a really talked about moment from this season.
It's a horrifying moment in the series to think that that's what his daughter sees. I think it's really the final straw and all of her innocence being gone in some ways, or at least, and the truth is she knows it, and who her father is. And I think that it just, as an actress reading in the script, you think, and you see what you have to do, and what happens, because I read that script, and by the end I thought, oh my God, that's terrible, but at the same time, it's a fantastic piece of drama. So it was on one hand, as an actress, it's an incredible piece of the story. And on the other hand, as a fan and as a real person, it's a horrifying thing to think of happening.
And you said that you did not go to the read through for the last two episodes, so you watched those as a fan. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you had to be happy, I guess, in the wake of Sally seeing Sylvia and Don together. You had to be kind of happy on that very last scene of the finale, the look with Don taking the kids to his childhood home, and then the look that Sally and Don shared at least seems to indicate that a repair might be in the works or possible.
I I loved the episode. I thought everybody was so fantastic, and to watch it as a fan, I thought it was it's such an interesting place to go with it, because what you're so curious about what's the next season, what's going to happen. And I think more than anything for Sally and Dawn, I think it's interesting to see that they could, because the relationship is so fractured and so difficult. And you look at Sally and you think, oh my gosh, how does this person grow up to be a complete person who trusts and love or other people? I think to see the two of them have an honest moment, is very, very interesting, and you hope that that sort of ends up happening, that the two of them can be honest, and they could heal and have some kind of real relationship.
Yeah, and I think it was Jimmy Sullivan from France who was asking the question about John. But if you're talking about John as an actor, that season finale in the Hershey's pitch, I mean, that was a really powerful moment, wasn't it?
It was beautifully done. It was such a, because I think the audience has been waiting for that to happen too. Like, when is the truth really going to come out about him, and is it going to be revealed for him, or is he going to reveal it himself? And the idea that he reveals it for himself in such a desperate moment, in a way that, the first pitch works, where he says, clearly the Hershey guys are going with it in the first pitch, and then when he breaks down for no apparent reason other than he needs to, it's just fascinating to watch. And I think as a fan, it's rewarding on one hand and then completely unnerving on another, because you don't know what's going to happen. But no, I loved it.
Was the experience of being on Mad Men this year a real, I mean, I know very rewarding, but also a real challenge for you in that it's just kind of an episode by episode. You're learning a little bit more about your character each time. It's not like you have the whole picture at once. It's like you're kind of putting together a puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah. But the thing that is great about that as an actor, and that happens in some extent in television, because things will happen and they'll include things, especially if you've been on things for a while. Your character's backstory will grow in the forefront because there's things they need to address, if you've been on a show for a while. But with Mad Men, not knowing anything going in and having it all be revealed, and also having Matt Weiner and all of the writers and everybody who's involved with the show on hand as a resource, is fantastic, because even though you might not know what's coming up for you, if you have any questions, they're there to help you in any way, shape, or form, and also not give anything away. So it's an interesting challenge in sort of surrendering yourself to uh, to the material. And for as an actor, I really found that to be challenging and fascinating and wonderful. I think it's it's a great way to work. You know, in you don't know the end. You can't play the end. You there are things that come up that inform you, and the way that the show's written, it's so deeply structured and so well written that it's been there all along in some way, shape, or form, and perhaps you didn't know it yet. So sometimes it's a really um, it's a really fascinating way to work. I enjoyed it. It was different than anything else I had done.
And do you remember, what was your main question about the character that you said that they were open to questions. What did you want to know that maybe wasn't there on the page?
If she loved her husband, uh, and Matt and I talked about that, and she does. She really loves her husband. And if she was a true believer, she is. And I I knew she had a son from the beginning. Um, I guess clearly in the first episode, I say he's away at college. That she cared about quite a bit, and I knew that was something that he had just left. It was something that we talked about. Her being Catholic. Just there were all kinds of questions and all kinds of things that we talked about, and I mean there were all kinds of things that came up too. So
And I think all the answers that you just said came through in little moments throughout the season. Um, you really did feel that Sylvia did love her husband.
oh, good, thank you. Yeah, and that's what makes it fun to play too. Is to have there be that love for him, and for her to be doing something so opposite in behavior of that. And the same thing with her faith. I love the idea that I got to play things that were so conflicting at the same time. I think that's what's so great about acting, and I think that's what's great about a great role. And for me, it was important to show the conflict in her between her sort of her faith and her piousness versus what she's actually doing.
Around the time.
And also it sort of plays into the scene that she has with Megan as well, where she's making her feel guilty for thinking of not having the baby, and meanwhile she's doing something that's you know horrible herself and sinful, that's affecting Megan, and she feels the right to judge her. It's just an interesting way, and nothing's very black and white.
Around the time Arrested Development was coming back, cult favorite TV show, gone before its time, I interviewed Paul Feig and said, well, what do you think? Could you bring back Freaks and Geeks? What do you think about that? What do you think about it?
I think I don't know how you would do it. I really don't know how you would do it. You take these kids who are in high school, and a lot of the problems that they're going through, even though it's set in the 1980s, everybody can relate, because when you're in high school going through those things, everybody sort of has the same emotions. But I don't know if you take them out of high school, since we're not, it would have to have had some time pass. I don't know how those characters translate, how they would translate in a way that would please the fans. I think it's a blessing and a curse that we got canceled after 18 episodes, but there's 18 episodes that tell sort of this wonderful story of these kids in high school. I think it's pretty good on its own. It would be fun to go back. It would be we would have an amazing time, but I think it's better left alone.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on where your character would be 15 years down the line?
Oh, I don't. Probably what I've learned working with great writers and great producers, you know, like Paul and Judd and Matt and, you know, like John. The things that you learn is that what you think in your mind that you can create or you could write for your character, I think it's better left to the writers and producers. They were so creative and so wonderful. I think whatever they would think of for Lindsay would be different than what I would think of for her. But, you know, I hope that she had a great time following the dead. She probably had a few bumps and bruises along the way and probably regretted it at some point. And hopefully she takes some thoughts away from that and becomes a healthy, successful person. I don't know.
There's Molly O'Brien says, well, I don't know that you can still be following the Grateful Dead, but maybe she's out on the road.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. And she could have gotten completely carried away at some point. Maybe after Jerry died, though, she would have given it up.
She's following Fish now. Well, Linda, we appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by, and congratulations on the Emmy nomination.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great talking to you.
You too. Take care.